Today, we're gonna do things differently. Yo, hang on one second. This is Steve from Quivers. Okay, I'm here. Today things are gonna go differently, and I hope that you like it. I'm back in California, and I'm excited to catch up with Matt Parker at Album Surfboards, because I haven't seen him in a while.
7'2"?
Yeah, 7'2".
I'm shaping an 8'0" for a guy right now. Like the sweet spot is like, I make a lot of like 6'1", 6'2" that ride like 6'7" or 6'8". So this one's 6'5". 6'5" by 19, 2 5/8. Yeah, this is all black resin pigment and then like the mixed gloss matte finish.
One of the things I love most about Shred Talks is that it's just fun to interview someone, but I also really like Shred Show as well because those videos are fun to make. So today I thought to myself, why don't I just smash those two things together for this video about the ledge?
There was not a specific board that preceded the ledge. Mike Townsend, he's ridden my boards for a few years. He was looking for, like, I want a board for big waves. Not necessarily for paddling out at Todos or Mavericks or something like that, but like if I was gonna go paddle out at double overhead blacks or big Ocean Beach. So I just kind of thought about it, sketched it out, made one, and the first one I made was like, oh, there's something to this, it looks really good, and it worked. Mike went out and got barreled on that first one we made, which it does great. If I'm on a ledge, I'm you know it's gonna be a good day, which is pretty rad.
The dimensions on this ledge are 6'4.5" by 19.625 by 2.68, and it has 38 liters of volume. You can see me surfing this board here, or you can get on Instagram and search the hashtag #AlbumLedge and see hundreds of other photos of this board. For example, Michael Townsend, who Matt Parker credits with putting him to work on this board initially, and my favorite, this guy, because he's in his 50s, but his surfing looks like he's in his 20s. Now you can make sense of this outline very easily. This is a near full-on pintail back here, and there is a ton of width forward in this board all the way up through the nose. By now everyone knows what this is good for. You have lots of hold and grip within the face of a steep wave because a tail that's this narrow wants to sink down into the face of the wave and hold in it. It does not want to float up on top of the water and get pushed forward with speed. It wants to sink down in the water and hold and keep pace with the wave. That works because when your weight is back here and here, for example, it is not supported by a ton of width beneath your stance. But while you're paddling on this board, your chest is up here, and this is a very floaty surface for you to paddle above, which means easier forward movement on the surface of the water when you are paddling like this. This is a dead giveaway for what you would probably find easiest on this board. Paddling in easy, dropping in early, and setting up a line, and holding that line with stability as your toes dig into the wax on the deck of the board, and you wish you had hands on your feet to hang on.
Yeah, it's definitely hold and drive, and it's not the kind of board that you're doing like tail throws or anything like that. But the surprising thing is, even like some pictures I got back from the first few that we made, was that how good it does go when it's on rail, like on an open face. Like you can really throw down a pretty mean carve and a frontside hack or backside on it, which I was surprised by. I mean, the fins are placed a little bit forward with that tight, narrow pintail, which I think allows it to get on rail a little bit more, push a little bit more water through there, and just lock in and point it and get barreled.
You might initially think that 38 liters of volume is an awful lot of foam to pack into this shape, and you find a lot of it in the deck in the way that it stays straight coming out from the stringer and doesn't start tapering away until it's about 2 or 3 inches from the rail. You can also see that the foil in this board stays very thick when compared to other step-up boards. Most other step-ups would probably taper to less thickness in both the nose and back in the tail. So you might feel on this board a little bit more float and forward motion than just the outline would imply. Slight single concave, really moderate single concave, subtle double concave still, flat out the tail. In the end, I think that this board is very exciting for a lot of different types of surfing when the waves are over 6 feet. But I think most surfers would find it most exciting to just lock in and get barreled barreled on this board. If you're looking for a board this winter for El Nino, I think that this is a very exciting shape for surfers from that like beginner intermediate range all the way up to advanced. But if you imagine yourself trying to do a lot more down and up in the pocket, maybe with more tail flings and stuff like that, or if you just imagine yourself wanting to take more risks in bigger waves, rip bigger waves more, this board could work, but I think it might also be worth looking at Album's black pin model as well. This episode was presented by my friends at Quivers, which means that if you're a member in Huntington Beach, you can surf this board that was in this episode beginning this Monday. So how great is that? You don't even have to have someone on YouTube tell you whether a board is fun or not. You can just surf it for yourself. If you want more of my interview with Matt Parker, stay tuned because I'm gonna put another part of it in this episode. And I really wanna know what you guys think. Did this work, smashing together like a shred show episode with an interview? Should I try it again? Should I just stick to the way I used to do things? Let me know in the comments below. I don't know why the camera just turned off. Let me know in the comments below and I'll see you soon on Shred Show. You're reminding me of something I really want to ask you. I was in here a couple months ago and I was like really geeking out on asymmetrical boards at the time, and I was talking about these thoughts and ideas and concepts, and then you started talking about asymmetrical boards, and then you said something to the effect of like, but I don't really take that seriously. I mean, it's a surfboard. Like,
yeah.
It's just a surfboard.
Yeah.
And I really liked how you didn't act like you were a scientist experimenting with all these high-tech hydrodynamic theories and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
Do you view it as you're just like tinkering with floating toys, and is it like totally fun for you? Mm-hmm. And how do you have that kind of approach while still creating these high-performance boards that work really well?
I think there's so many variables in surfing. Like hard and fast rules necessarily don't always apply, because I can have one board and I can never surf the exact same conditions ever. You know, even if I surf the same spot, I surf the same point break every day, it's very rare that you get the same.
You don't have a consistent canvas. Like, you're not going to the same skate ramp every day.
It's never the same, ever. You know, I can surf a board 100 times and it's 100 different days. And so the kinds of surfing or the type of turn that I'm doing is always going to be a little bit of a different thing, and so the water's always interacting with the board in a little bit of a different way. You know, wave is more powerful, less powerful, faster. You know what I mean? Like I weigh a little bit more, or weigh a little bit less. So there's always all these different variables, and so I think if you try to lock in too hard on hard and fast rules or laws of science when it comes to it, I think you chase a rabbit hole that you go down a rabbit hole that's very tough to ever find, or like, you know what I mean? So for me, it's I have to experience it to be able to. I can theoretically come up with an idea for a board, and like the ledge is an example of that. I theoretically came up with an idea for it and made one and gave it to somebody else before I actually surfed it myself, which is rare. You know, generally speaking, I'm like tinkering and trying different things and surfing them and getting feedback from myself and then adjusting them as we go. But I think it'd be really hard to design boards that you don't surf, or shape boards that you don't actually ride. You know, I would be, at least I'm not smart enough to figure that out, so I need to be able to go out and try them.
Was there some formative experience that you think might be responsible for whatever like the path you've been set on is, that has given you a good eye for color combinations?
I painted a lot. So like when I was in school and when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for a living, I painted like all the time. Just canvases, not necessarily surfboards or skateboards or anything like that, but I would just paint. The process of mixing those colors and like seeing what works back and forth. And, you know, you take art classes. I was technically an art major in college, and so you take a lot of color theory and things like that, but I think just playing with them, I get a little bit, it sounds kind of, you know, like hooey, but you get a little bit of an emotional response from color on like how it makes you feel and what you see, and so I think that comes into it, in at least influencing decisions you're making or trying colors back and forth with each other.
So you'll actually like go out into the world and see like a sign or a car or something like that.
Yeah.
And think like, oh, those colors might work together.
Yeah, I'll see a layout in a magazine, or I'll see a printed piece, I'll see an ad somewhere, I'll see a sunset somewhere, I'll see, you know, sand colors or watercolors places or whatever. And since I'm always kind of looking for those kinds of things, I think when I see something that is rad, it kind of like a little remembrance in my brain, and then when I'm going to think about what I want to do for a board, I think those things kind of pop up a little bit, and those ideas kind of simmer to the top.
I know a lot of art majors, and it kind of seems like you ended up with a dreamy gig then. Like a lot of art majors don't really get to do something that gives them this blank canvas to play with, and they can also make a living off of doing it.
Yeah.
Like, how lucky do you feel?
I do feel really lucky because it's a total artistic and creative expression, but it's functional. It's not just art for art's sake necessarily. It's like creating something that's tangible and that brings people a lot of joy and stoke. And so it's taking that creativity and actually putting it to use and having, you know, which I think I feel totally lucky.
Yeah.
To do that.
This episode is presented by Fanatic.com, where you can choose different fin sets you want to surf, rank all of your choices, and then receive one of your fin choices in the mail, which you can surf for as long as you want to until you mail them back to Fanatic and receive another one of your fin choices just a few days later. It's that easy to have an unlimited fin quiver with Fanatic because their basic membership is just $9.99 a month, and you can get your first month for free by entering promo code SHRED, that's S-H-R-E-D. You can cancel anytime, so it's risk-free at Fanatic.com.